J. Cole, an American musician, once said, "I always feel like it's two key ingredients when it comes to following your dreams. Making something happen that the average person deems difficult. If you truly believe it, that's step one. Step two is, the hard work." Oh. My name is Nick Kopp, and my senior project is Try to Program. In my senior project, I trained and competed in a sprint triathlon in Spicer, Minnesota, and then I learned to program with the Python programming language, which I then used to write a program that would help triathletes train for any distance triathlon. My inspiration for my project didn't happen all at once. It was really a two-step process. At first, I wanted to do something that would test and push my body like I never have before, which is what led me to do a triathlon. And then I thought, why only push my body? Why not also push my mind? At this point, I was in Miss Peliquin's robotics class, in which we were learning to program and operate Lego NXT robots. It was coming pretty easy to me, so we started talking about possibly expanding my programming knowledge. And we decided that I should learn the Python programming language because that is the most useful in a business setting. Because Ms. Peliquin had helped me so much in the initial planning of my project, I asked her to be my senior project advisor. Ms. Peliquin's knowledge and constant constructive criticism helped my program become all that I wanted it to be. When I was learning to program, she would check in with me, make sure I was learning the proper syntax, the vocab, and setting up my programs the correct way. When I began writing my program, she would do all the same things, checking my program, making sure my code doesn't error out at the last line. In my triathlon training, a high school science teacher wasn't as much help. So I asked, through the use of networking, I was able to find a parent of one of my friends who trains and competes in triathlons himself. He, Mr. Moss, helped me train. He gave me books, workouts. He even worked out with me a few times. And he was very knowledgeable about the triathlon and how all of the stuff went on. The training for my triathlon consisted of swimming every day for about 2 hours, participating in Spectrum High School Speed and Strength program, biking to Speed and Strength and home, and running pretty much everywhere in between. My constant training led to my success in my competition. It began with a half-mile swim, transitioned to a 14-mile bike ride around the lake, and a 5K, which is about a 3.1 miles. To give you an idea of the lake, this is Green Lake in Spicer, Minnesota. We ran all the way around it. The picture may look a little weird. That's because my mom didn't know her phone could just take a panorama, so she took individual pictures and said, "Here, make a panorama." It worked out. After my triathlon, I had a little bit of time to rest, and then I began programming. When I began to program, I started with Codecademy, which is an online open source resource for those who are interested in learning any sort of programming language. This is very self-motivated, and after about a month of struggling with it, Ms. Peliquin and I realized that I needed something a little more regimented and structured, which is what led us to Coursera. Coursera is another online service for those interested in learning pretty much anything you could imagine. I enrolled in programming for informatics with Charles Severance from the University of Michigan, or Dr. Chuck as he liked us to call him. The knowledge I obtained from both Coursera and Codecademy, I was able to complete my program. These are the first few lines of my program. It may look somewhat simple or not, but believe it or not, this was the hardest part to start in both my program and my triathlon, was knowing how to start. In my training, I started with short distances in the running and biking. I slowly built it up to the distances I needed to go to be able to compete. And in programming, I ran into the same thing. I needed to start with small little programs, figuring out what worked, take the syntax errors and figure out why that's not working, and then take all of that and put it into my program. My program ended up a little under 150 lines of code. The two things I would change in my project would be time. Going into learning how to program, I was very naive because I really underestimated how much time it would take to learn essentially a new language. And the time I put into that went a lot longer than I thought it would, and really cut down on my time I had to write my program. I still like how my program ended up, but I think if I had a little more time to learn, I would have ended up with an even better project. The second thing I would change is not race on my 16-speed mountain bike, as you can see, against what I like to call the death gliders, because when they went past, they would make the most frightening sound I have ever heard with the wind whistling off that back tire. One of the guys I competed against had a bike like that, and he passed me in like the first mile of the bike ride. But after the race, I went up to him, shook his hand, and I said, "Dude, great race, awesome bike. Where do we get something like that? How much did it cost you?" And he told me some store I've never heard of, and he told me the bike cost him a little under 10 grand for a bike.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the reason they cost so much is because this bike was made completely out of carbon, and he was able to pick it up with one finger, and it weighed more than the 16-ounce water bottle he had in his other hand, which is just ridiculous. My paper, Healthy and Hungry, was about Michelle Obama's new school lunch reform. I focused on the negative effects it's having on the youth of today, the increase of costs to both the schools and the families, and the responsibility of this increase in costs to either the school or the family. In the future, I hope to use my new programming abilities in my mechanical engineering courses at South Dakota State University, which I will be attending this fall. I also hope that my triathlon training will help me get to state this season for swimming and be able to swim on SDSU's Division I men's swim team. I've been talking to the coach and it sounds promising, so I just gotta kick it in and get there. In my project, I put in a lot of time. For my triathlon training, I put in around 175 hours, and in my programming, a little under 25, which brought my grand total to 199 and a half hours. So pretty much my whole summer. In my project, I met the requirements of academics through the study and application of a new skill, career through the use of these new skills in my intended future career, and personal growth through the training and competition of my triathlon and learning and writing my own program. After finishing my project, I started to see the programming in everything. I realized that my triathlon was nothing more than programming my body for the competition, and my programming was programming. But what we may not realize is that simple tools like this are used every day in programming, because a recipe is nothing more that takes you from a simple product to a spectacular finished result. Thank you. I also have nothing.
Did you publish your software program?
I did not. I was thinking about doing that, but I've been talking with Ms. Peliquin, and it sounds like that was a little more than I was expecting.
So, do you have a lake place up at Spicer? Is that how you ended up there? Or?
No, my advisor from the triathlon training, he ran the triathlon a few years ago, and he said it was a very small triathlon where I could start off and not go to one of the giant ones. There were probably only like 300 people at this, and that sounds weird saying there's only 300 people, but it's smaller than the, yeah. And it was a lot cheaper because the Spicer triathlon was only like $60, and if I want to do some of the bigger ones, it's like $250 or something.
Okay.
But I guess for guys that spend $10,000 on bikes, they can afford that.
I don't know if you told us how you came out.
After the swimming, I came out of the water in second place. After the bike, I dropped back to 170th, and then I finished in 43rd. So,
yeah, I noticed in that picture, that was you in the front in that
Yep.
picture, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, it was pretty interesting because I was swimming out at the start, and then I was out in the middle of the lake because I knew we were supposed to turn around somewhere, but I had no idea where I was supposed to go. So I started treading water, and then this dude in like the full swimsuit, cap, goggles, like the guy was ready to go. I'm like, I think I'm gonna follow this guy because he knows what he's doing. So I just followed him in, and he was just gone on the bike.
Cool.
Wow.
Nice.
So you got to have the $10,000 bike to.
Yeah, it's very much a throw money at it sport. If you have the most money you're throwing at your bike, that's the biggest part of it. Because the swim was probably 8 minutes, the run was probably a half hour, the bike was like an hour and 15. So
Okay.
as much as you can cut off of that, the better.
So your shoes could be 110, and
Yeah.
you're doing goggles and $50, bike 10,000.
Yep. I thought I'd take these in because my mom wants me to throw them out because I trained in these all summer and they're more duct tape than shoe right now.
No, keep them.
Bronze. Very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you like a muffin?
Oh!
I got the variety.
More bribes, I tell ya. How can we turn
So the
you
word
down?
got out, huh? I was telling everybody, bring treats, soften the judges.
I'm gonna pass, thank you.
She's being very good. She's been holding other groups. I had the other hand sandwich with
Did you
reason
go
that I
off
eat
on
mine.
this idea?
Oh.
Well, it's
look at
supposed
this
to go with
beauty.
his hooks. He's got the baking things
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Anti-Michelle Obama.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Oh, I've had.
Oh.
There's got chocolate and flour in there.
I've had it
Apple
plenty.
wheat